Hey there, scary people, and welcome back to the One Scary Woman YouTube channel. Now, if you have been following along with this movie making process, you should know we are actually almost at the end of our screenwriting portion of this process. So very soon we're going to be getting into information on production. So if you have been working on this, working on your screenplay, hopefully you are at the stage now where you're starting to send it around a little bit. You're starting to get some feedback from people you trust, people you know, hopefully know something about writing and can give you good advice. So this is a necessary step because you want to make sure that script is as good as it possibly can be before you move it forward. But I know it's also a really difficult step. So this is definitely a challenge for writers, putting it out there, making yourself vulnerable, and receiving feedback, particularly if sometimes that feedback is a little unkind, which maybe sometimes, unfortunately, it will be. So I know that that is a big challenge. We would all just like to hear, no, it's the best thing I've ever read, but chances are you'll get some feedback on things to change and improve. So there are a couple things I like to mention just so you can keep it in mind. So of course, just take with a grain of salt what people tell you, especially when the feedback is unkind. Don't take it to heart. Don't take it too personally if they are harsh. There are some things you can look at to decide whether or not you think their feedback is worth your attention. But don't let it hit you in such a way, that it is hurtful. Just take it for what it is, one person's opinion. And the other thing that I really want you to always remember is that you are always the highest authority on your story. So I don't care who they are, the person giving you feedback, if they are the expert, whatever the case may be, you are the number one authority on your story. It's your story. You know best, what should be in there, how it needs to be told. That said, of course, you're open to hearing that feedback because some great ideas can come through that feedback. Or sometimes it can just show you where you went wrong or where a certain skill needs to be developed a little bit more, so you keep making it stronger. But that doesn't change the fact that you are still the highest authority. Now, that being said, a couple things to keep in mind when you're deciding which feedback to use, what feedback not to use. So if you get a whole bunch of feedback from one person, but it is just one person saying a whole bunch of things about your script that you're not sure whether or not you believe them, keep in mind, one person, that's a very small sample size of a group. Now, if on the other hand, you're getting the same feedback from multiple people, so this is why it's good to actually reach out to several people for feedback to see if they're all commenting on the same thing. So say if you reached out to 5 people and all 5 of those people said the same exact thing, that they didn't understand why somebody did something, or one particular character wasn't interesting. If they're all saying the same thing, then that is a clue to you that you should pay attention to that one particular thing. So that could be a moment to let go of the ego, ask yourself, why would more than one person be saying this over and over again? And then see what you can do about that note, about incorporating that note. The other piece of advice I'll give when it comes to incorporating feedback is just the cream will rise. So what I mean about that is when you get a whole bunch of feedback, I recommend don't try to take action on it right away. Sit with it for at least a couple days, even distract yourself. Read the feedback, get all the notes, whatever you have to do, then go do something else. Chances are the notes that are the most important, the best notes that you got, the ones that really would improve the story, are the ones that are going to stick in your head. They're going to stay feeling fresh. You're going to keep sort of mulling them over. So the cream will rise. So trust yourself when that happens, when certain feedback sticks out to you, that's probably the feedback that you most need to pay attention to. Now let's talk briefly on how to actually revise the script. So there's several things I will say about this. So don't try to all at once do every single thing that you want to change in that script. I recommend breaking it down. Do one thing at a time. So do a pass looking for just dialogue. Can you improve the dialogue? Can you do it one character at a time? Do a pass just improving your description. Do a pass seeing if you can make your scenes more interesting. So break down the different issues. Don't try to tackle them all at once because that is going to be overwhelming. Another key piece of advice I can give you is to, when it comes to major things in your script, revise from the outline. So when you're in the script, you're in the weeds of 100 pages, it can be hard to see the big picture problems and how to fix them. But instead, if you get feedback, for example, that maybe the climax doesn't feel all that climactic, and you know you're probably going to have to move stuff around, start with the outline. See what moment maybe actually should be there that would be a bigger moment. Can you just move them? Is it an example of just needing to move that outline around a little bit and play with that? Keep in mind that as you start revising, oftentimes it's going to look worse before it looks better. So you might get in there, you might know that some dialogue is off and not know how to fix it yet. So you might put in placeholder. You might move stuff around, but you haven't quite transitioned yet that it makes sense that it's in the new order. Maybe you need to add a couple scenes. Be okay with that. So be okay with just starting. It's almost like renovating a home. First it has to look a lot worse before it looks better. You kind of have to take it apart to put it back together again. So be okay with that. Know that it's a continual process, that you'll be massaging that script and improving on it continually, probably right up until you go into production. So whether you sell it or whether you produce it yourself, chances are you'll be making tweaks to that script right up until the very end. But just stay confident that it is going to click for you, and really dial into just knowing when for you feel it's your personal best, you feel you've said everything you needed to say, and that it's the best possible script you can put forward. All right, good luck. If you have any tips or tricks for revising or for dealing with processing feedback, be sure to put those in the comments down below, and be sure to like and subscribe.